When most people think of Russia's Rosatom, they see a simple uranium supplier. But that's a mistake. Rosatom isn't just in the supply business. It's built a machine, a perfectly engineered system designed to actually architect global uranium demand for decades, locking in customers and completely rewriting the rules of energy geopolitics. And this right here gets to the absolute core of their strategy. Rosatom controls the entire value chain. We're talking the raw material, the processing, the reactor tech, and even the customer relationship itself. This creates this incredibly powerful feedback loop of guaranteed demand that's almost entirely insulated from Western sanctions. So let's break down exactly how this machine works. The machine's power source really starts in one place, Kazakhstan. If you want to understand Rosatom's global strategy, you first have to get a handle on its deep-rooted influence over the world's #1 uranium producer. I mean, just look at these numbers. The scale here is staggering. Kazakhstan produces a whopping 43% of the world's uranium. It's not just another market leader, it is the strategic centerpiece of the entire game. Controlling influence here isn't just a smart business move, it's a geopolitical masterstroke. So how does Rosatom actually leverage this position? Well, it's through a classic, powerful strategy, vertical integration. But this isn't just about owning different parts of a supply chain. No, it's about engineering a totally self-contained ecosystem where each component feeds the next, insulating the whole operation from any external market shocks. And here is that strategy in action. It's brilliant, really. Rosatom's joint ventures mine uranium in Kazakhstan. That material then gets shipped to Rosatom's own facilities in Russia for enrichment. Then, and this is the crucial final step, Rosatom builds a Russian-designed nuclear plant back in Kazakhstan. And that plant, it can only run on proprietary Russian fuel, which, of course, Rosatom sells to them. They've turned the world's biggest producer into a captive customer. But you see, accessing the raw material is just step one. The true genius of this machine lies in the technology that powers its reactors, a component that's been designed from the ground up for total long-term exclusivity. Before uranium can fuel a reactor, it has to be enriched. And it turns out, Rosatom controls over a third of the entire global enrichment market. This is a highly technical, incredibly expensive industry with huge barriers to entry. It's a critical choke point in the fuel cycle, and Rosatom has its hands firmly on the controls. So, let's just walk through the logic of this self-reinforcing machine. 1. Rosatom secures access to raw uranium, mostly in Kazakhstan. 2. It processes that material at its own enrichment facilities, where it's a dominant player. 3. It builds its proprietary VVER design reactors all over the world. And 4. The kicker, those reactors can only run on one thing, Rosatom's exclusive TVEL fuel. You see, each step directly feeds the next. This is the lock-in. And it's huge. When a country decides to build a Rosatom VVER reactor, they're not just buying a power plant. They are signing up for a 60, maybe even 100-year fuel subscription. That's because those reactors run exclusively on Rosatom's proprietary TVEL fuel assemblies. There are no alternative suppliers. Every single new reactor becomes a guaranteed source of demand for the better part of a century. And the machine is also designed to get more demanding over time. See, Rosatom is constantly innovating its TVEL fuel to use more highly enriched uranium. Now, this lets reactors run longer between refueling, but it also means each new fuel assembly contains significantly more uranium. So the bottom line is, as their own technology gets better, the total uranium consumption per reactor actually goes up. Okay, so with the internal mechanics of the machine crystal clear, let's zoom out and look at its output. A massive and growing global empire of new reactors that is almost entirely insulated from Western economic pressure. The scale of this operation is just immense. Rosatom is holding a foreign order book worth over $200 billion. And this isn't some theoretical plan. These are signed contracts for projects that are actively under construction right now. This kind of financial foundation makes their global strategy incredibly resilient. And where these projects are is just as important as the dollar figures. Turkey, Egypt, Bangladesh, China, India. The pattern here is crystal clear. Rosatom has focused on Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. These are regions with skyrocketing energy demand that operate largely outside the Western financial and political sphere. It's an empire built where sanctions just don't have much bite. This all creates what you could call a sanctions paradox. So the US is banning Russian uranium imports, right? But that policy completely misses the target. Rosatom's core business isn't selling a bit of uranium to America. It's building these massive, multi-decade projects everywhere else. In fact, their non-Western order book accounts for 90% of all global nuclear technology exports. The sanctions make for great headlines, but for Rosatom, it is business as usual. And this isn't some far-off, distant plan. The momentum is building as we speak. The year 2026 alone is set to see major milestones. They're breaking ground in Hungary, and they're starting up brand new reactors in Bangladesh, Turkey, and China. This machine is firing on all cylinders. So far, we've focused on how Rosatom engineers its own demand. But its actions have a much, much wider impact. They actually act as a global price multiplier, reshaping the entire uranium market for everyone. Ironically, a lot of the activity in the West actually strengthens Rosatom's hand. Europe is going through a kind of nuclear renaissance, adding massive new capacity to meet its climate goals. Well, this creates a huge new draw on uranium from non-Russian suppliers. And what's the effects? It tightens global supply, which drives up the price for everybody, and that directly benefits a dominant producer like Rosatom. And the price projections absolutely reflect this new reality. The market is already in a structural supply deficit. So with this new compounding demand, analysts are projecting that prices will climb significantly. And of course, a rising price then funds Rosatom's continued expansion, creating yet another powerful feedback loop. Let's put one final massive number on this. The lifetime uranium needs for Rosatom's entire portfolio, that's domestic, foreign, and existing contracts, is over 700,000 tons. To put that into perspective for you, that is more than 10 times the entire planet's current annual production. And all of it is locked in, guaranteed for Rosatom. So, the crucial takeaway here is this. Rosatom isn't reacting to the market, it is the market maker. Through this vertical integration, proprietary technology, and a sanctions-proof global portfolio, it has built a system that doesn't just supply uranium, it architects demand on a global scale for the next half-century. And all of this leaves us with a pretty provocative question. As the world scrambles for carbon-free energy and nations are turning back to nuclear power in that great geopolitical chess game, has Rosatom's meticulously built machine already secured checkmate?